that cool or what? Do we like that?
I like it. And,
Yeah.
we were, for the folks who just joined, we were just playing Donna Summer before the thing started. True story. Yes or no?
It's a true story.
The Donna Summer video from the early 80s with Musical Youth. And that's what we started listening to, and we perfectly segued into that countdown clock. So we're ready to get this party started. I'm not sure that's a Donna Summer song. It might be. It's that group with Fergie, right? Isn't that them?
It sounds like it could be one anyway, so that's good. So hopefully we get a bunch of people on tonight, and let's. We definitely want to have a bunch of questions. Hopefully we have the answers. And we're going to be wrapping up the show precisely at 8 o'clock. So make sure you get your questions in. It is football night.
Quite the segue also from Donna Summer to football.
Hey, we got everything on this show. So let's see. We got a bunch of people coming in. This is great. Awesome. Welcome everybody. What's going on, Halk?
Not much. What's up with you, buddy?
Same old. Recovering from yesterday. We had I know you had a long fishing day. I had a long fishing day, and I think they were pretty successful all around. Would you say?
I think we had a good week for fluke. We had I had a great time yesterday, and I'll probably make a video of it. But it was literally a day with no fish. I for the first time in like 20 plus years, I did a tuna trip. Only the second one I've ever done. My good friend Jay invited me on his beautiful 33-foot Boston Whaler. There were 5 of us, guys that know what they're doing. And anyone who knows the day yesterday, beautiful day, flat calm water, blue sky. We didn't go far. We went to the Coimbra. We went out of Shinnecock. So the guys who are really good tuna fishermen, these guys, I mean, the way they executed between the vast amount of bait we need to everything else, everything was perfect. And we hooked into a big fish. Now, calm day, blue skies, calm water. We used 30-pound fluoro, and unfortunately or fortunately, whichever way you want to look at it, we hooked into a giant. And almost 4 hours, 5 GoPro batteries later, we lost the fish after like the 12th to 15th time we had it surfaced. I just couldn't get him in the boat. Had a great time though. So that was my introduction to tuna fishing after many years not doing it.
So what do you think? You're going to go back out again?
I told Jay today, he called me to see how I was feeling. This is a long day. Sure. And I equated it to when I've gone to Maryland a couple times this year for Big Tog. It's a great experience. It's something different that's awesome to try. Would I trade it for fluke or light tackle blackfish? I wouldn't. But I love tuna so much to eat. It's like the one fish. I had yellowfin, I told you, JT, twice this week. Raw, not cooking it. I think that's the way to eat it. I would do it for the meat. I hate saying that.
That's a good reason to do
that with the other fish.
Sure.
But I would do it as a change of pace. But I don't know how guys do it continuously with the amount of work involved. And maybe it's a little different for me because, it's a deflating feeling when you fight a fish for 4 hours just to see it swim away. But it is what it is. It was nonetheless a great time, a great reintroduction into tuna fishing. But it's not something I don't think I got the tuna bug from this. Put it that way.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, at least you had a good experience, and I enjoy going out for tuna and all the stuff that is involved with it. But reeling a tuna in, I'm not really into that anymore.
I didn't fight this fish for 4 hours. I fought it for about 7 minutes of those 4 hours. 3 other guys on the boat, including one guy, Jacques. This poor guy fought that fish for about 3 hours. We give him a break here and there, but
he's hurting today.
He's a Kiwi. He's from New Zealand. I was in awe because 7 minutes I fought it, you couldn't budge that fish.
Yeah.
You were like literally holding on to the rod for dear life.
Yeah.
Not something I'm keen on doing. I'm like you. I'd rather just sit back and watch it. Yeah, I see the comment. I don't know what's going on today. Well, maybe I have a bad connection, but it is what it is now with the I do look like I'm underwater. Sorry about that, guys.
Let's
the image is much crisper, JT.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's that.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's all right. As long as we can hear you. Let's take a couple questions real quick while we've got them. We can nail them out. Has water temps changed much with the cooler nights?
I haven't noticed.
I haven't noticed. I mean, maybe some surface water in some places has gone down slightly, but
if it did, it was barely. The water temps in Montauk look the same to me this week.
Yeah. So I went out tuna fishing yesterday in the Sea Fever in my boat, and we went out to Habs, which we did two different videos, tuna videos on, and the bite just wasn't the same. It was covered in Albis, false albacore. They were everywhere. You just couldn't get through them. And unfortunately, even though the conditions were absolutely beautiful on that end, it just didn't cooperate. There were some overs that were caught on chunk bait and live bait, but as far as trolling and jigging went.
What's the deal with overs? Because there was a debate about this. Could we, if that fish was 74 inches and these guys had the permit or whatever you need for one trophy over per season, could they have kept that fish?
So they would have had to had there is a special permit because it did reset after we spoke. So it ended August 17th and then it reopened September 1st.
Okay.
So there was an allotment of, say, tags, and if they had one, then they would have been able to do that.
Can we jump back to your Habs thing? We're going quick today because we want to watch football. How often do you fish that area and see Albis out there? And there's a method to my madness question here. I'm trying to do, when you said that to me earlier, it raised my antenna. Does that possibly mean that, how would that affect our Albi season, like in the Long Island Sound? Does it have any correlation? Is it a precursor to them coming in tight to feed? Or
yes and no. So September 1st is usually kind of mark it on your calendar when you go out to the tuna grounds, especially the places like the Gully, Habs, Ranger. You're going to start to see Albi showing up right around the 1st of September. And usually those fish that are out there they're big. Like yesterday, these were big Albis. A lot of times you thought you had a keeper size, like a 27 to 32 inch bluefin on, but it ended up being an Albi.
I've caught big Albis in Florida, believe it or not, bottom fishing on drift boats, on head boats, like 12-pound Albis, which would be a trophy fish for us, but it's just shark bait for them.
Yeah. I mean, there's guys that live line, big Albis, for tuna. So, I mean, I think it's usually that push of Albis that starts to come in and then it gradually feeds into the sound. But yesterday, if it's any indication of how, our inshore, Albi season is going to be, it should be pretty good because there were tons of them and they were filled with sand eels. So, so we ended up, we did a lot of trolling. We did some jigging. We unfortunately didn't hook anything but Albis out there. And I had two of my buddies that came down from Albany. So I wanted to make sure that we at least caught something. And so we stopped at a fluke spot over there on the south side. And we had a phenomenal, probably hour and a half of fluke fishing before we headed in. And we got 1 over 9. We got 2 8s. Lost a couple fish that were, in that same size class, caught a 6-pounder and literally was in, I think, 2 or 3 drifts. And they were beautiful fish, really clean, bellies pearly white. Those are fish that I think are starting to migrate out of, Block Island Sound, Long Island Sound, and heading around the point, so definitely.
We usually start seeing them on the south side of Montauk around now. While we're fishing close to the beach, you typically see the fly guys there with the no T-top boats casting at splashing fish near the surface close to the beach. And that's usually the first place we see them before we see them in the Long Island Sound.
Yeah. I think there's, probably within the next week or so, you'll start to see them up on the beach. I think, we got a lot of wind coming starting tomorrow and pretty much all weekend. Who knows what that's going to do to things. But interestingly enough, the water just south of the point was kind of murky. It was very stained, compared to
crystal clear in Coimbra.
Yeah. Habs was very clear, but it was once you got within probably 3 miles, 4 miles of the point, it was a noticeable difference in the water clarity. So, but if hopefully next week the winds are in our favor and we can get out there and hammer on the fluke, and it should be good.
I agree.
Yeah. Let's see here. What do we got?
We got that question. Did John Skinner's brother sell the boat? Really wish I had the money. Would be a good boat for me. As far as I know, he hasn't. My presumption is he'll shoot me a text when he does. I know a bunch of people have reached out about it, but I don't know if a deal's been made yet with anyone. I think the big hang up for a lot of people, at least based on the comments, was the engine. And interestingly, some people said that's the engine I'd want. Like, I guess those are more old school people, because it's a carb 2-stroke it's a Yamaha carb 2-stroke, probably an engine that will never die because it can be easily rebuilt, even if there were some kind of issue. Notwithstanding that, I completely understand the need to not prime to start it and all that a modern engine affords. So I'd rather have that than a 250 HPDI personally, or some of the other engines that are known to blow up. But I get why somebody would want, like Yamaha has the inline 4 200. Yeah, that would be a good option for that boat too.
Another comment here from Nick. Jersey hit a nice run, a little bonito. Yeah, they're a lot of fun, especially light tackle. I mean, they're a lot of fun to catch.
Agreed.
Yeah. Here's the 14-pounder. Yes. As a matter of fact, without giving it away, Halk and I talked about this earlier today. I know exactly where they caught that fish.
JT happened to be right near there when they caught it.
I happened to be right there.
So JT, just for the purposes of being provocative, I said to JT, I know based on what you told me where they caught it, I would go there. I don't think there's any harm in that. Just like I know people who have seen where I'm fishing in certain spots and they come and fish near me, and then they've told me they know the boat and blah, blah. And I even had one group over Instagram like share specific details about a spot I was fishing and made some, but all in a good way, like a respectful way.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't blame them. I mean, if I'm posting videos of catching big fish and somebody sees me at a specific area, why wouldn't they stop and fish? Now, JT is more noble. He said, absolutely not. I want to find my own spots. And to that, I say, you're a fool, JT. You're a fool.
Well, the interesting part is usually the spots I find end up turning into community holes. So yeah. But it's, to me, I mean, obviously, I'm kind of old school. That's from my competitive bass tournament days where you put a lot of work into the finding fish and all the preparation and using, your mapping skills. And I still have a handwritten book that I keep, of different details and stuff for each day.
Yeah.
And so to me, I mean, hey, look, if you don't, everybody's different. I'm the guy that I don't want waypoints. I don't want your spots. I want to be able to say I found them. And then when I see people there, I go, yeah, you're there because I was there. So.
For years and years and years, I had this big green notebook. I'm sure I have it somewhere still that listed the date, what I fished for, the temperature, the current, the everything. And I would legitimately, like if I was going fishing on July 28, 2017, I would look at that book and go back sometimes 10 years. I think I started in either 04 or 05 to see where I was, what I did. It's now with social media, it's kind of a lost science.
Yep, I do share some of my spots. Obviously, I don't share all of them, but I'm certainly open, as you've probably noticed in my videos. I'm open to sharing to a certain extent. But I'm the guy that usually doesn't ask for spots. So
I saw JT. You shared that spot on a video maybe 6 months ago. The NFC spot. Does that sound familiar?
NFC.
N like Nancy. No fish caught. That spot. Do you remember that? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I will never send people on a wild goose chase. That's a fact. No, but yeah, I will. Navionics. Although let's go real quick. Are you still subscribed to Navionics? Did you pay the $50?
I did.
Yeah, I did.
Well,
too.
I don't. I think mine was 30 something, but it was recently. It was maybe at the beginning of the year. It wasn't. Maybe I know Garmin bought them. I believe, right? Maybe they upped it, but I'm not up to the renewal yet. So
it's $50 a year now, which kind of sucks.
But it's worth it.
But it is worth it.
Yeah, even yesterday, the guys I was fishing with, I showed them some of the spots I fish for fluke, and we zoomed in, and you could see the contours and the structure down there, and it opened their eyes.
Mm-hmm. Yep, this is a great one. My father always taught me to drive past the pack and find my own. Yep, couldn't agree more. It's old school. Find your own fish, make your own reports. I'm a big advocate of that. So your father's right. It's good info. Let's see, we got one here. Skunked at plum yesterday.
It's very normal.
Yep, very normal.
The only thing you're going to possibly catch right now consistently in the daytime is typically bluefish. And we haven't seen bluefish like we have in years past, so it wouldn't even shock me if that. So Monsterfish CT, if you can reply, you skunked for everything or skunked for stripers? Because you should have still been able to hook some bluefish.
What was interesting is we actually stopped at the race yesterday on the way back in, and I marked nothing. There was nothing going on. It was really crazy.
I haven't fished it since early July, so
Joey and I did a little local trip. Was it last week? I think it was. And I said, "Hey, let's go peck around at the race," and nothing. It was toast.
So there were days this year when I had striper charters when we were trying to fish the outgoing at the race and the incoming at the gut, where I would run to the race, and the race was like dead.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd run back and just fish outgoing at the gut and do better than like nothing happening at the race, which is usually not the case. But that could also be that the race is such a much bigger body of water. And if those fish are, one day the bait is concentrated in a very specific area, I think it's 3-4 miles long. I forgot how long it is, but it's not like you can go to the same spot. Whereas the gut, you can find them. If they're there and it's not in your area and you can't find them, you didn't do enough drifts, because it's such a small compressed body of water. You should be able to find them.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is this year, so the year before, we had a bunch of really big bluefish, like big, huge gator blues, 36-inch, 38-inch bluefish that were right up on shore, 2-3 feet, of water. And that was really early on. I think that was I want to say it was the beginning of June last year. Well, this year that never happened. And the race I like catching bluefish every now and then. They're fun to me. But it just did not materialize like it has for the last few years. So
they're fun until you lose 10 bucktails.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Do you really need that relief shading? Do we need it?
Huge difference.
I think it makes a big difference. It definitely can magnify some things when you start really looking close. There's some little details that you would not see on just the regular topo lines. Plum gut right now is short sea bass. Yeah, it's kind of been that way all year. It seems like all summer anyway.
So, Robert, have you tried dropping just a plain small bucktail and snap jigging for them? I'm now 100% convinced that will outfish bait or a bucktail with gulp. A small bucktail with nothing on it seems to be killer for catching bigger blackfish, sea bass. I've noticed it in the Sound. I've noticed it in Montauk. I don't know why. It doesn't make sense to me. But and obviously Skinner's done it for years, where he's just snap jigging with nothing on that little bucktail, and it seems to attract bigger sea bass. Just something to consider and possibly try.
Let's see here. We got around the back of the rocks. You can catch a few. Yeah. Nope. Here's
that's the answer. Yeah, maybe the bait was scattered that day and they were somewhere else looking to feed.
That happens a lot. There's other spots in the middle of the Sound where one day there'll be an entire school of 40, 50-pound stripers, and the next day there's nothing there. And that happens. They move. I think they're constantly moving.
Yeah, a good spot also, if you're coming from Connecticut, is the Pigeon Rip, which is right around the corner on the north side of Plum. That typically holds big blues and occasionally decent-sized bass too. And as the late Steve, who owned Wego, told me, if you go there at slack and anchor, you'll catch big blackfish. And also old sea bass too.
Yeah, Pigeon Rip. They used to be. Do you remember the MyJoy? Out of
the MyJoy, yeah, of course.
That used to be. Yeah, the MyJoy used to fish there all the time. Pigeon Rip. Yeah, actually, now that I think about it too, I think that was one of Charles Nappy's favorite fluke spots back in the day.
Really?
Yeah.
Where did you hear this?
From, I think it was it was either in an article or on one of those videos of his.
It holds. We've caught in the past big bass there. Certainly a lot of big bluefish, sea bass. Like if somebody wants to go sea bass fishing and it's slack tide, I will take them there. It's really hard the drift moves fast there. It's hard to get them and it's deep. But at slack tide, it's a great sea bass spot. It wouldn't shock me if there's fluke there, considering all the other species that live there.
Yeah. Any experience using the Nomad's lure for fluke or sea bass? No, I haven't had any. I know a couple of guys I've taken on the boat have had them. One of our guys in our crew actually has the real big one that he's brought out for tuna a couple times, but yeah, nothing on that Squid X, at least that I've heard. I do the bucktails for stripers. Always fair bet. Oh, the old drail rig. Remember the drail rig? Do you remember that?
No.
That was an old MyJoy thing for bluefish where it had like a chain. It has like that big, long kind of football-looking weight with a chain and then a clip and the chain was hooked to a big J hook, and you would clip through the mackerel eyes. Oh my God!
Perfectly describing some insane party boat rig, but I don't know it.
I have a couple in my shop. I'm going to bring some for next week. An old drail rig. That's funny. That's great. Good stuff. Let's see. Dan Fisher. John, want to read that one? I can't see.
Yeah, went to Block Island yesterday. Got 5 short fluke and 1 8-pounder. Congrats, Dan. Didn't see anyone else out there catching any fluke. Only sea bass. The drift was really slow. Was using the trolling motor to drift. Look, I've fished Block twice this year, and it was early in the season. It wasn't on charters. It was with Rick. He loves Block Island. We caught a combined 0 short fluke and 0 keeper fluke on both trips. And like friends of mine, like Fat Tommy, who keeps his boat in Rhode Island, he's been skipping right past Block and coming to Montauk because the bite's not been good. It's not been a good year for Block. Again, like we've talked about this ad nauseum. Hopefully this is an outlier year with the upwell, the change in water temperatures because of those continuous south winds, and we'll see a return to normalcy next year, both for Block and Montauk. But I've barely fished block because too many, stories like yours, Dan, and firsthand experience from me. But then I'm not going to go back there unless I start getting reports from the guys I know that fish there. And obviously there are party boats too that fish there a lot, and they post on social media. And if I'm not seeing them really showing good results, it's for my new marina, it's almost 50 miles. I'm not going to go that far. JT, I know it's a little closer for you, but I don't think you've done much fluke fishing, if any, there this year. I could be wrong.
No, I haven't been there in 2 seasons actually. I think I take that back. Maybe we went once last year, but my prediction is that I think block is going to turn on for like probably a week and a half, coming very soon.
Okay.
That's my prediction. Probably I'm going to say next week. Next week, there's going to be like a 4 or 5 day period where it's going to be on fire. So there's just too many fish that are out that way that are going to be coming back through there. Let's see. What's your favorite way to fish big sea bass?
So I just mentioned it. Mine is that snap jig. So a 1 ounce bucktail, let it hit the bottom, give it a hard yank up, let it settle back down, give it a hard. It's incredible how those big sea bass seem to go crazy when they see that.
Yeah, I like squish jigs, those big squish jigs. Like my favorite jig of all time for sea bass was it was called the Hayabusa Slow SL. I think it's either spelled SLO or SLOW, but in pink. That thing was just a crusher. It allowed fish squid and gulp and all that stuff. You got one here for you, John?
Yeah, Casper writes, John, thank you for great video. Thanks again for the great videos over the years. Looks like you're really happy with your cat boat. I love my World Cat. I got it in the spring. Would never go back to a V boat. Thanks, Casper. I appreciate the kind words. Agree with you. It's hard to go back when you feel that ride. And JT, we got to get you out on it. Some of the folks on here have ridden on my boat. I saw Peter was on earlier. He made a comment. It's incredible until you've been in one. Like I don't know about you guys. Like I'm a devotee of the whole truth. I read every article I can or every thread I can on boats. And you kept reading this. And I've been on a couple cats, but it was calm days. But it will change your mind about boats when you're like on a choppy day and it's just slicing through everything. This trip, we had our members trip on Saturday. Peter was one of them. This was the first sea condition where maybe the CV would have done better. And these were swells in Gardner's Bay that were just long enough that my cat at 24 feet couldn't span them. Possibly the CV could have spanned them, and it would have been more like a chop to the CV. But that's not a reflection on cat boats. That's more of a reflection on the length overall of the boat. But otherwise, the ride is fantastic.
Yeah, I can't wait to get out on it. I'm looking forward to that. I've never been on one. So.
Yeah, you'll be shocked, especially as we cut through some wakes, like big boat wakes, and you're waiting for that pound, and it barely feels like a ripple on the boat.
No kidding. That's cool. I'm excited.
So LI Fish Kings makes a good point there. I'm jumping ahead. 100-mile round trip, not 50. Sorry. Yes, 50 miles each way.
That's a long ride.
Yeah.
You ever use Viper spoons for fluke? I have, in fact. I did it one trip, and caught some decent fish on it. But I kind of stick to old school stuff. What about you?
Yeah, so I believe Viper is the name of the Thunder Mist lures spoons, if I'm not mistaken. And I want to say that they were innovators in this for fluke. They're freshwater guys, and I think they translated that over. They're Canadian, for those of you that don't know. For years, it was one of my favorite YouTube channels. I devoured every video they came out with. I bought hundreds of dollars worth of those Viper spoons over the years. finally stopped using them because they, the honest truth is they didn't, for me at least, they didn't, in the waters I fish, they didn't produce as well as a bucktail.
Yeah. I just don't have enough confidence in them, to be honest. I think that's, for me at least, that's what it is. Maybe I'll do a couple videos on dig them out of the box. I've got what are those other ones, John? The other big fluke spoons.
The M3 tackle.
M3 tackle. Yep. I think I have probably close to 100 of those in the boat that are still in the packages. So.
Yeah, we had. I also have still Thunder Mist again. The people who invented that Viper spoon, they used to sell these sinkers called, I'm probably going to get it wrong, but cattail sinkers. They were literally long. They almost looked like little torpedoes, long and thin with a wire at the bottom. And the point of those was you won't get hung up with them. And I have a bunch of them still, and I can't remember the last time I dug one out, probably because I no longer really use their spoons, or rarely, if ever, especially now with the trolling motor, have to stop bucktailing and go to a chicken rig. But that was the other little invention they had. I don't know if they still have it on their website, but they're very specialized sinkers called, I believe, cattail rigs.
Cattail rig. That's cool. A little shout out. You guys rock. Well, thank you. You guys rock too. Appreciate everybody's participation. All the great subscriptions. And I know your membership is growing for your channel, John, right?
Yeah. Appreciate all the members. This is a subscriber video, though, JT, don't forget.
What's that?
This one.
Yeah. No, I know.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you said members in my brain when I hear
no.
members.
I'm saying your membership's going up. Little ad.
A little bit. The YouTube world. So we appreciate all the loyalists. I know there's people that like some of these names, like Dan. I could be wrong here, Dan. I believe Dan was the first year we had a YouTube channel, or it might have even been before I had a YouTube channel, and we had made a Skinner shirt, a green shirt. Maybe I'll wear it next time. Called like the Beard of Knowledge, and it was like a silhouette, like a Jerry Garcia silhouette of Skinner, and we had made a bunch of them. And Dan, if that's not you, jump in and say it, but I think Dan had reached out or made a comment, how do I get one? And I messaged him and I'm like, hey, send me an email with your address, and I sent him one. And that's going back like 7-8 years now. So it's nice to see the people that were there at the beginning are on here commenting. We appreciate it.
Very cool. Can't wait I'm going to blaze through some of these real quick so we get to everybody. Can't wait for your Blackfish videos.
Thank you.
We're excited too. Yeah, that'll be.
Oh, that wasn't me. LOL. Well, it was a Dan from Connecticut. How about that?
All right. LPSV 1200. You know what that is? I'm not sure.
Any experience with the LPSV 1200 versus the S212 worth the extra 1,000 for variable speed? Yeah, I have no idea what that is.
Shoot it back in the comments. Let us know what that is. Well, if we know, we'll let you know. If we don't, we'll say that.
No, Dan, I know you were all, and I'm looking at Dan's thing. I know you were that too, but I honestly thought you were the Dan from Connecticut that we sent, and I'm positive the name was Dan. So in the small chance he's watching this video, just make a comment in the comment section. Obviously, he's not watching it live, but after this appears on both our channels.
We fished yesterday next to Skinner and Rick on the Blue Jay. Did well. 30 to 80. Oh, that's about the depth that I was in yesterday. 6 fluke total. Nice work. 2 or 5.5. And the guy next to me put an 11.5. Big fish.
Yeah, big fish. There's some big ones out there. You're gonna see a video soon where we were on that big 55 Valhalla, Doc's friend, and the one guy on the boat got his limit. I had a limit and he had a limit. My limit wasn't anything to sneeze at. I think it was my first one was 26 inches, which I was thrilled about. And then I had a 21 and another one that was 20.5. His 3 fish, 24 inches was a small one, 27-inch, 8.5 pounds was the medium one, and the big one was almost 30 inches and 10.8 pounds. So there's some big fish out there. September's the time if you want a big fish. I'm convinced of that.
Yep, definitely.
Dan the fisherman went there, who allegedly did not receive a green Skinner shirt from me. I think he's lying, but we won't hold that against him. Went there on 8/14 and got 25 with 5 keepers up to 6 pounds with my son. Consider that a great day. Only on calm days, as I have a 19-foot bait boat. Smart, Dan. 33-mile trip from Groton. Thanks, guys. Nicely done, Dan.
Very nice.
Yeah, I'm with you, Dan, especially if you're going with your kid. You know, pick your days. Don't be a hero.
I do that now.
The subscriber trip Saturday that South Side was nuts while we were fishing there. I mean, nuts. The forecast, 2.8 feet at 9 seconds. It wound up being more like 4 feet at 5 seconds, not exaggerating, on the South Side when we first got there. Then calmed down a little, but turning that point, it was, it was the South Side. It was Montauk Point, and you get wind against tide, especially an east wind and an outgoing tide. Be prepared to deal with some not fun seas.
Yeah. Kind of takes us into this question here. How's your experience? Yeah, we were just talking about that. Get ready. That's going to be after starting next week. That's going to turn on.
It's the best fluke fishing all year, the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Had a 40 striper loss.
So W told us what he's talking about. He's talking about Lindgren Pittman electric reels. The S2 1200 is the high-low, and the SV 1200 is their variable speed. W, unfortunately, I don't own any, nor do I fish with electric reels. Not for any reason other than I don't do deep stuff typically. The deepest I fish might be 120 feet for fluke, really deep off the south side of Montauk. I wish I could help you. I can't. I don't know. You might have a little more experience with that, JT, with the tuna stuff. I don't know if you do or don't.
I don't have any experience with those. No. Let's see here. Bluefin in center, west. Slow bluefish. Yeah, it's been slow all year, I think. There's little spurts of action with bluefish, but this year was pretty disappointing, I think, overall.
Yeah, and so for Joe, thankfully we've been finding bass pretty reliably at night in August. So once July hit, we only fished for bass at night, always. As I've gotten older, it's just that risk reward is not there, or maybe the risk tolerance reward is not there. It's good to know that they're still there. I can tell you, going back to like the early 2000s, if you went to the race at night in July on a full moon, there might be 50 boats there. It was that popular. Mm-hmm. Joe, my question for you is that not the case now? Like, if you go at night, are you seeing? Oh, well, you're talking about the center west sound, so apologies. That's not going to be something you might know. I'm curious though, if anybody does still do night fishing. Is it still as packed as it used to be 20 years ago?
Yeah. Well, let's see here. We got. Do we miss it?
W clarified that it's a deep drop reel. Is there no deep dropping in Montauk? Unfortunately, there's a tile. There is folks that go out deep for tile fishing stuff. Where we're fishing, fluke fishing, you don't need an electric reel. We're going at, like I said, the most I've fished in Montauk is maybe around 120-ish feet. We call that the ling spot. It's a decent spot where occasionally you get a bigger fluke, and occasionally you get codfish there too. Are you drinking milk? Are you drinking milk?
No, water.
Oh, water. Okay.
Looks like that with this. Looks like that with this silly backdrop thing when we have no green screen. See that?
Yeah, now I see it. I thought it was milk. So we're not deep dropping.
Oh my god. Milk.
Let me say hi to Mickey Mark too. I see you said hi.
Yeah. Oop. There we go. So, Good stuff. Well, I'm looking forward to everybody. Be careful over the next few days. We don't need any heroes. The wind's going to be bad. At least in the sound and definitely off Montauk. So we don't need any heroes.
In fact, JT, what do you think? This Sunday we're supposed to have the Patreon members thing. I don't think I'm fishing the rest of the week. I doubt you are. You want to push that one for a week? That way we'll have some intel to share with members the following Sunday. And then in 2 weeks, we'll have our next Drift Live subscriber chat.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. That sounds good.
Yeah, because it's not going to be a point in having folks join where we'll likely just be rehashing our favorite football team. Well, my favorite football team doesn't play till Monday, but the favorite football or the NFL news from the past few days.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Let's do that. I'll still use umbrella rigs.
I see them. I do see them off Montauk with some of the charters.
Yep, my buddy Joe, he has a charter business in Clinton. One More Drift Charters. He's a big umbrella rig guy. So catch a lot of fish with him.
As a kid, we used them off my uncle's boat. That's the only way we fished for bluefish. We couldn't catch a striper to save our life back then, but definitely for bluefish, yes.
Can you find cod anywhere around Montauk?
You can. It's not easy. You're better off going to Block. But we've caught cod almost every year in Montauk. They had a moratorium on cod? Is that still in place? I don't target cod, so
I don't know. I know that was kind of like a stop when we used to go out, tuna fishing out, like to the dump or Suffolk or Gully. We would stop and get some cod over at Block Island, but.
I'm checking right now whether they lifted that New York State saltwater fishing regulations. Bear with me. Why did this pop up so small? Don't they know I'm old? How do you there we go. Cod. Atlantic cod 2024 updated regulation, September 1 to May 31. So they did reopen the season, 23 inches, 5 fish. Is there a spot? Not that I'm aware of, but if you're like deep off Cartwright, you can get them. I'm not sure I would devote a trip to that. Perhaps as you're fluking, if you drop a rod down with a big piece of clam belly on it, you might get lucky. My guess is you'll probably be inundated with sea bass.
You can also use like a 6 or 8 ounce diamond jig. We've done that, but usually if you want to go get cod, head off of Block. Actually, let me see real quick. I don't mind doing this. This would actually be kind of cool. Let me see if I can pull this up really quick before we sign off here.
I see Craig asked, is there a Billy's on the Bay Blackfish tournament this year? Craig, by the way, has some great fishing lineage. His dad is my good friend Walter, who's a great person and an excellent fisherman. Just let your dad know that I was brown-nosing him there a little, Craigie. Here,
I'm going to share something real quick now.
Yeah, go ahead. There absolutely should be. It's usually the first Saturday of the Blackfish season in New York, in the New York Bight. So the first Saturday after October 15th.
So this is the CMAP. Well, I just did a video. This is free on the desktop as of right now, anyway. But a great cod spot that we would stop in at all the time is right here, and right here. And
where is that's off what?
This is off Block. Yep.
Okay. Well, that looks like the Southwest Ledge.
Yep. So right out here, we would always stop for cod.
Where's the submarine buoy or the whatever that big buoy is that you pass? Any idea?
Oh, the big buoy out over here?
Yeah, out by that corner of Block.
Yeah, this is Southwest Ledge here.
Oh, okay.
Section. Yeah.
Oh, so this is further south.
For due south. It's southeast.
Okay.
Yeah. This hump right here, this spot here, and then right up in here, we used to catch cod all the time on the way back in. They were really easy to catch, like You just take a straight 6 or 8 ounce diamond jig, drop it down, lift it slow, and you'd load the boat with them. So that's just something to go check out.
Yeah, and I see the Salty Croc Fishing also asks, have you guys tried fish bites? I've personally not tried them, but Skinner in his last video did say that besides gulp, that's the only artificial that he said he's had any kind of luck with for fluke. He still prefers gulp.
Gulp will always be. You think there could potentially be where I lost the? It keeps
so
blanking
John,
out.
do you think potentially be bigger blackfish on wrecks? I know the world record was caught on wreck. Absolutely, I think if you're targeting big fish, don't do what I'm doing. Don't go shallow jigging. Not that you can't catch a big fish, we have, but that's not why I do it. I'm not. Obviously, you want as big a fish as possible. But if you're trophy hunting, don't do what I do. Do what Todd Man does. I would suggest following his channel. He, my God, I'm having a senior moment. Long Island Lethals, LI Lethals. Sorry, I don't know what happened to me there. Follow his channel. He's locally, like the YouTube guy's local to us. He's fantastic at targeting big blackfish, both structure and wrecks. He's also a charter guy. You know, if anybody wants to give him a shout out and charter him for that kind of stuff, he's really, really, really good at it. In fact, I'm fishing with him this year in the Billy's tournament. He wore me down to fish with him, even though it means, you know, most of the day not jigging, which means I'm going to be completely useless on the boat. But nonetheless, we'll try.
I was trying to look at that map. When is that tournament?
It's always the first Saturday after the New York bite season opens. So the New York bite season, I thought I had my charter because I have it blocked off. I don't book a trip that day. So that would be Saturday, October 19th.
Ooh.
It's always the first Saturday after the season opens because Billy's closes usually at the end of October. So this is like his last big hurrah.
Nice. Well, we will be there. We'll follow you guys. All right. I think that's we got any more questions? If you got any more questions you want to ask, let us know now because we're going to
football.
Shut down for football. Who are you picking tonight? Well, let's get off topic for a minute. It's our show. We can do whatever we want.
The Chiefs?
Yeah.
I'm like one of the minority who I love watching the Chiefs. I root for them. I mean, I'm a Jet fan, full disclosure. If they're playing the Jets, they're dead to me. Or I follow the Giants too. I root for the Giants too. But I'm a Jet fan at heart. If they're playing one of those two teams, I'm going to root for the other team. But otherwise, you know, if I had a front runner team, they're just so enjoyable to watch. I love everything about Andy Reid, how crazy his plays are. Remember that circle a couple of years ago? How do you not like that?
I love it. Yeah, good stuff. Well, I'm excited. I actually think Baltimore is going to pull it off tonight.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, now they have Derrick Henry. That's going to be something totally different to add to the team now. There's going to be a totally different dynamic.
No. And Derrick Henry's. Did he just apply for AARP? No, like seriously, how old is Derrick Henry at this point?
He's 30. He's 30 years old.
Okay. Well, you know, for a running back, that's old. And especially a plodding, big running back.
You know, he still squats 680 pounds.
Okay. So do I. No, I don't.
You know, we'll find out tonight. So anyway, well, let's see if we have any more questions here. If any of you do decide to venture out, please be careful.
Yeah,
please.
Just don't venture out this weekend.
I would highly suggest you don't, just based on the current forecast. There was some crazy guys that tried to go out during the big winds this past weekend, and it wasn't good. So anyway, well, if we don't have any more questions, I guess we'll sign off for tonight. We appreciate everybody tuning in, and we'll see you Thursday after next.
Yeah. And next Sunday for members and Patreon supporters.
That's right. All right.
All right.
We'll
take
talk
care,
to you
guys.
soon. Take care, everybody. See you, Halk.